Morning. All right, we're talking about what's happening in the news and just sipping some coffee or some tea. Go ahead and grab a cup, maybe some water, depending on where you are. Um, so we are having a chat here. We're talking about some topics that came up. Free speech. I don't have the little fancy car device, so this might not go as planned, so excuse me if my phone falls a few times, okay? I'm trying my best to keep it steady. All right. What's in the news right now? Apparently, um, freedom of speech. What does that look like? There used to be a thing called freedom of speech, but right now it seems like, as some of you should know already, freedom of speech, it might cost you. Yeah, it might cost you. I noticed this barista. One time if you look at my coffee cup, one time when I asked for coffee, they didn't fill it up all the way. And this time she makes sure it's filled. So that's why I have to be careful. But anyway, we're talking about freedom of speech today and what that looks like. And apparently, freedom of speech, as you know, is not free. You want to be careful. What does that look like for you? Do you find yourself being extra careful of what you say, when you say it, how you post, what you post, because you're afraid of retaliation from either local or federal entities? What are your thoughts? Yeah, it's challenging. What about being mindful of the bots that are scanning through your content, the information, and not only information you voluntarily post, but information that you say around maybe the little devices like the Google devices that's talking about, or yes, I'm live. Thank you. Or even Amazon. I was told that Amazon and a few other of those devices that you say information around, that feature that disables them listening or recording what you say, has been disabled. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining today. What are your thoughts on this? Today's topic is about freedom of speech and how it costs a lot of money at this point. It can cost you. And freedom of speech is no longer free. So I'm hearing from teachers, I'm hearing from people who work in different agencies who feel restricted from saying what they want to say about a certain topic. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Snow Leopard. Luke, I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about this morning. Do you feel that you are restricted in what you want to share when it comes to posting or sharing your opinion? Thank you for the love. I appreciate that. So what are your thoughts on that? And a topic that was discussed in the news recently about freedom of speech, when it comes down to posters, there's a teacher who had a poster in her classroom and it said, "All are welcome." And it had the shades of different hands, from light skin, brown skin, dark skin. And it said, "All are welcome." This particular teacher got reprimanded for having a poster board that had different shades of color on there. It didn't promote one group versus the other, but it had a variety of shades in a classroom, encouraging students to say, "Hey, all of us, we're here together. It doesn't matter the complexion of your skin." That teacher got reprimanded. So now, what are the guidelines when it comes to sharing inspirational or positive messages and kind messages in this whole diversity, equity, and inclusion? There's more to that topic than what people are promoting? What about those who are disabled, who have felt left out for many years? Where the programming for them? Who's being an advocate for them? And I feel like they're being left out because they're not part of the let's see. Exactly. Thank you for sharing that, Snow Leopard. That everyone does have the right. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, you know. And then what about those who are disabled? Those who don't use technology, who don't have the same opportunities as people with vision or with other abilities? They don't have an advocate. And I feel like that's the group that's being left out in this conversation of diversity. They're being left out, and funding is being cut for people who have disabilities. And because advocate groups who serve this population are losing government funding to serve those who are disabled, who need support, who need education, who need job skills training, what is that advocate supposed to do if they have no income coming in to serve that group? It's a lose-lose. So I'm hoping that those of us who are able bodies, who have vision, who have sight, can make sure we remember people who are disabled. Let's start to make sure that in our efforts of protesting and doing all these things, let's kind of allocate some time and energy for people who are disabled children, parents of disabled children who are so exhausted because of the day-to-day activities. They don't have the energy to protest. They don't have the energy to advocate for their children or themselves. They want to, they desire to, but sometimes the load that they carry is hard. So what about them? So let's be a voice. You know, as we talk today, um, we're just having coffee and chatting about what's in the news. Something else that popped up in the news was about social media being used in cases to for people who are either non-citizens and citizens. If you don't align with what's happening with the administration, you know, so be careful what your post. Once again, is freedom of speech really free? Are we really free to say what we want? It says here, thank you, Snow Leopard. You say, I hope people who are able to do things that they can really respect disabled people after what they're doing. Yeah, that's true. It's so true. So I have a program where we help people with visual impairments get the training needed for the job force. And the challenge is exactly what I've shared, where you have people who have a desire to help, but they're going through financial challenges, and they want to help people who are disabled. They want to be a voice in the community, but they're working 2 or 3 jobs. How are people who are fighting and struggling to pay their bills advocating for people who have no voice at all? It's a struggle. Yes, it is. So how about we use our phones, right? Just like what I'm doing now. You can hop on a social media platform and just share a message about being an advocate, supporting people with disabilities. Use our voice. You know, freedom of speech doesn't always have to be about negative speech. It could be about, oh, okay, well, thank you. Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you too, Snow Leopard. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you for joining the conversation. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about this morning. News and coffee. When I say news, what is hot topics in the news? Another thing that was mentioned in the news today, and when I was talking about social media, is how government officials are using Facebook posts to find individuals who they assume to be part of these groups. Some of you might not be a part of these groups. You might just hit share, reshare. You think it's innocent. Trust me, it's not. They're utilizing social media and the posts that people share to determine their affiliation or their allegiance to certain groups, whether in the US or out of the US. So when you think, okay, I'm just going to reshare this was funny, you have government officials who are being who have to go before Congress to share, why did you reshare this? Why did you retweet this? Why did you repost this? And those officials have said, look, that was on my personal page. It wasn't on a government official page. And once again, they're like, the fact that you posted it or you reposted it or you spoke on the matter doesn't matter if it's a personal page or your business page. You posted it, and your digital footprint, your digital footprint is there. So now what are we saying? Everything is being monitored. Everything is being monitored because people are screenshotting. People have others assigned to just scrape through your Facebook page, your Instagram, your Twitter, whatever you do, and they're keeping an archive of it. Hi, thank you, Mansoor. Thank you for joining today. So we're talking about news and while drinking some coffee. So if you have tea, grab a cup of tea. If you have some water, grab some water. Let's have a chat. Today, TFG365 guide. I want to say thank you for joining today. We're talking about hot topics that have popped up in the news. And another thing that popped up in the news is tariffs. What are your thoughts on tariffs? How is it impacting you? Have you noticed the impact at all? And oh, thank you, thank you. So when I see what's happening with the markets, it's reminding us we need to stock up on water, stock up on household items that you use on a regular basis, because prices can change within hours. If you're following US politics or the stock market, money news, you're going to notice that within a day, the stock market plummeted and then it rose again. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, so how are we making our, having our communities, supporting local businesses that are struggling because of everything happening in the markets? How can we connect with people who develop, who create, who design? Maybe instead of going to Walmarts or Targets or these other, maybe you find someone who started their own clothing store, or maybe their own clothing brand, or maybe their own makeup brand, their hair products, and we start to work together to financially support each other. I'm in the US. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, how can we now create our own ecosystem, right? Our own economic system? Because if you depend on big corporations, yes, you want to be able to get to a big. So I'm not knocking someone who is on a corporate level who's big, but I'm saying we have to rethink how we spend our money and how we move, because the markets are changing. How are we investing? How are we diversifying our income? Clearly, you can't just have everything in one portfolio because the stock market goes crazy. Also, stores open, stores close, but you have to have a community. Can you maybe start creating a list? Create a list of companies locally in your area. Maybe that mom and pop restaurant. Maybe that's where you go for a big family dinner to help boost the economy in your own community. Maybe you have someone who is in your neighborhood who has a car wash. So instead of supporting or going at a distance to a large yes, I do work, thank you. Going at a distance, maybe you support your local car wash. We have to do things different nowadays in order to not only save but reinvest and invest in our local communities. Maybe if you know someone with, like, the earrings I'm wearing, I got this from a store, but I know there are people who create earrings and oh, thank you. And you just want to be able to have that whole ecosystem. So I want to encourage us. Today we talked about tariffs, we talked about the economy, we talked about freedom of speech, we talked about community engagement. All of that is important. So let's continue to remember that, and also remember, don't just absorb the news and allow it to ruin your day. Use news as information to help you make informed decisions, and remind you to stay connected, to build a community of friends, family, where you can lean on each other. Maybe one person has a financial ability to create an endeavor. Okay, you're here, Sal, and okay, thank you. I'm not sure what OWSAM means, but okay. But yeah, it's just a matter of us now rethinking of no longer we're going to be solo individual living life on our own. We have to have a community based mindset. We have to be able to reach our community, to make an impact in our community, because people are struggling in silence. The changes with the markets are making people panic. Affordable housing, there's challenges there. So how are we going to make a difference? You might not have the funds to do so, but maybe you have a voice. You can use a device like how I'm doing now. Go on your social media platforms. Find out what are some local communities that we can partner with to help reach people who are struggling or in need. So yeah, so that's my deal. Once again, thank you for tuning in to TFG365 Guide. Follow for more information. We share topics about how to healthy work-life balance, great reminders of what's happening in the news, and solutions to consider to help in good situations and challenging situations. Make it a great day. Thank you again for tuning in. Let's see. I think that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate you, Monsieur, for joining. For the others who joined early and those who are watching now, make it an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in. Oh no, I don't have Instagram. I'm I went off of Instagram and Facebook a while ago. Right now we're just focused on our YouTube page. So you can definitely follow for more. All right, well, I'm going to get going. Thank you again for tuning in. Have a great day.